and gentlemen, welcome to the final day of the 2024 AVC Challenge Cup for Women here on Pilipinas Live and on One Sports Plus. The teams are arriving for the final day here of the competition, and we're going to find out the classifications and, of course, the podium finishers for this year's edition of the AVC Challenge Cup, and, of course, who will move on to the Challenger Cup moving forward. But let us deal with first things first. Indonesia against Hong Kong will be the first matchup here today to determine who finished 7th and who finished number 8. And of course, we have a full slate of games here today, as per usual at the historic Rizal Memorial Coliseum. Up next will be India-Iran, followed by a much-anticipated rematch between the Philippines and Australia, and another rematch, but this time for the gold, between Kazakhstan and Vietnam. Hello, I'm Paolo De Rosada, joined by the undeniable Coach Ronnie Magsanok. And Coach Ronnie, when you take a look at the slate of games here today, when you take a look at the classifications in particular, a lot of pride on the line, but as well as a lot of familiarity based on their previous meeting.
True. Interestingly enough, we have to mention also that Hong Kong won the first edition of the Challenge Cup in 2022. While on the flip side, Indonesia was the second place team last year, losing to Vietnam in their home soil, now playing for the ranks you mentioned earlier, but more than that, playing for pride. These are teams that sent their very young units in order to gain much experience and much seasoning, playing against the top-rated teams here in the region.
Well, when you talk about experience and you talk about seasoning, you have to talk a lot about Indonesia, because they have one of the youngest groups here in the tournament. In fact, their average age is only at 19 years old. Their youngest player at 16, their oldest around 21, 22. Coach, when you take a look at this promising young group, what catches your eye?
Well, number one, their top player is their youngest player, as you referred to earlier, and that is Junai Dasanti. Of course, Sabrina is also not only one of the more popular faces in this roster, but definitely one of the top players as well for Indonesia. A powerhouse team in the Southeast Asian Games and even in the CV League. A perennial bronze medalist who won several editions of international competitions, but right now will have to play for the spot 7 and 8, and they want to come out of this competition with the win here today against a team that they have already that has already beaten them in their previous meeting.
As you mentioned, Coach, looking for a measure of revenge here today. Hong Kong coming into this one with a more seasoned lineup. They've been together a bit longer as well. They're going to be hoping that having acclimated here a bit more and maybe using their experience, they can finally get one over Indonesia.
That's right, and this is a team which finished with a 2-2 win-loss record, one game short of making it to the Final Four. This team will be bannered by player number 8, Wing Lang Chim. And of course, another key player for them will be Lam Shum. These are the two leading scorers for Hong Kong, and they're up against a team that they beat in 3 straight sets. This is also a team that lost yesterday in 4 sets, right now playing for pride, and once again would like to go out on a winning note, playing match number 25 in our 7-day competition.
Let's take a look at Junai Dasanti. As you mentioned a while ago, 16 years old, 24 points and 23 attacks and an ace against their last opposition in India. Coach, a very young player and one for the future for sure for India.
Definitely a face that we will remember for the longest time. At least 6 Southeast Asian Games competition is in the runway for this talented wing spiker. Plays for Jakarta, Pertamina, Enduro in the Pro Liga in Indonesia. At 16 years old, she will be very busy, as she will also see action in the Under-18 competition in the Princess Cup come June 8th in Thailand. And she'll be facing against the best players from the Philippines in a couple of weeks, in a couple of days. And let's see what gives here for the top player of Indonesia.
Let's take a look at Wing Lam Chim on the other end, and one of 3 offensive options here for Hong Kong. And last time around, she was the one that really gave Iran a few fits here. 24 points, 20 attacks and a block, as well as 3 aces, lethal from the service line, Coach.
That's 17 of 34. Their last match yesterday, 18 points in their first meeting versus Indonesia, 15 points as well versus Singapore, 9 points versus Vietnam, 24 versus Iran, as shown earlier. Definitely the top gun for Hong Kong, and I saw her play yesterday, and she was one key reason why that match went 4 sets, but eventually they lost. And right now, as we mentioned earlier, really wanting to go out for a win to cement that 7th spot. Heading home, which is about an hour and a half away from the Philippines, I guess.
I don't know, it's a quicker commute than some places here in Metro Manila.
No
but
doubt.
Let's take a look at the classification bracket here. As we mentioned a while ago, these two teams battling for the 7th spot after losing out in their respective matchups against India and Iran. And let's turn over to the floor right now and find out who the starters are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Rizal Memorial Coliseum for your Asian Women's Volleyball Challenge Cup 2024. This is match number 26 in the women's division and the showdown between Indonesia and Hong Kong, China. Let us meet the international referees for this match. Our first referee, Mahendra Singh Saharan of India. And our second referee, Nasrin Shinas of Iran. And now let us meet the starting lineup for both teams, starting with Indonesia. At number 2, Rara Tegaryani. At number 4, team captain, Sabrina Agustina. At number 6, Fanny Chayaning Diaz. At number 18, Putri Agustin. At number 20, Junaida Santi. At number 22, Rara Rizkamara. And the starting libero, number 24, Nurfitri Ahawa. And the head coach of Indonesia, Pedro Lilipali. And now for Hong Kong, China. At number 3, Feng Xiyan. At number 8, Jim Wing Lam. At number 14, Shum Lam. At number 15, team captain, Yu Ying Chi. At number 17, Fong Ka Yim. At number 30, Yim Wing Lee. And the starting libero, number 11, Bang Wing Lam. And the head coach of Hong Kong, China, Wang Qingxuan.
Let's take a look at the starters here for Indonesia, unchanged from their last matchup here against Hong Kong. And to be completely frank, Coach, this is going to be a lineup that we expected, considering that this is one of the smaller squads that has been brought here to the AVC Challenge Cup. On the other end, also a familiar lineup here for Indonesia, going up against the same Hong Kong team in terms of starters in this matchup in particular. Of course, the stakes a bit higher here. Who finishes 7th, who finishes 8th, and a lot of pride there will be on the line, considering that, to be completely frank, Coach, it is a battle not to be last place, and that would really be a big motivator in this contest.
No doubt. Of course, this competition started with a total of 10 teams divided into 2 pools. And we have already seen teams who have made it to the finals in the battle for 3rd.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is Hong Kong on the right of your screens wearing red. On the other end, it is Indonesia in all green. Welcome to the show once again. I'm Paulo De Rosario alongside Coach Ronnie Manzano. And it'll be an easy point here for Indonesia after the service error coming from Young. Coach, you take... coming from Fung, rather. Coach, you take a look at the young guns here of Indonesia. As we mentioned, the 16-year-old in Santi, Junaida Santi. And coming up big here is what we're piling on in terms of expectations for her this time around, as Hong Kong get on the board scoring off the block.
Well, definitely top of mind. We talk about this team. This team's outlook in the future will be 3 names. You mentioned already Santi, and then there's also Putri Agustin and Sabrina. And these are the players that we are anticipating to be fixtures in the national team in the many years to come. And I'm sure that shortly they will be mixed with the veteran and big name players that have given this country a lot of medals the last few stages of the Southeast Asian Games, while Hong Kong continues to build in their campaign as they try to match up against the region's best.
Sabrina Agustina getting the point there for Indonesia. And Coach, just a while ago, Indonesia showed us that, you know, they gave away the service error, they had a service ace, and there was a bit of a theme in their first matchup in terms of service reception. To see which team actually did better with regards to that. In fact, there were 6 service aces for both of them
both teams
in their last matchup.
Well, throughout the competition, even with the elite teams, we've seen that up and down in terms of reception. But teams who have been able to get to the finals are teams who have been able to improve in that particular category. As we saw yesterday, Vietnam sweeping Australia in 3 straight sets, while Kazakhstan also dealing the Philippines a heartbreak of a loss, the first loss for Alas Pilipinas, also a 3-set win for the highest rated team in the competition, Kazakhstan. Incidentally, is the only team making its first appearance in this competition.
All of the Kazakhs came in with a lot of expectation, being one of the higher ranked teams, handily beating the host nation, the Philippines, of course. And on the other end for Vietnam, they're going to try and challenge them in the final. That will be later on today, and we hope to see you then. But as we focus here, Sabrina Agustina getting another point here for Indonesia. Let's take a look at that again.
Sabrina had 21 points against Vietnam, while in the first time that they met, also led the team in scoring with 12 points on a 10 of 32 clip against Hong Kong.
Blocking slowed that down. Free ball to play with, and just a miscue there from Shom.
Indonesia with a good start. Indonesia lost set 1 against Hong Kong 25-22, set 2 26-24, set number 3 25-19 in 91 minutes.
Indonesia in that second frame against Hong Kong, they were down by as much as double digits, able to mount a minor comeback for themselves and force an extended frame. So Hong Kong, very familiar with what Indonesia could do. Need a bit of focus here to ensure that these young players don't upset them. But of course, if you're Indonesia, you're thinking that this isn't an upset, this is a good matchup, and this should be a win that they could get. As Indonesia now mount a 2-point lead.
And that's Putri Agustin with that nice delivery, solid. Coming up with 4 points versus Vietnam. 7 points in their initial meeting versus Hong Kong from Putri Agustin.
Good swing there coming from number 15, Yu.
But 7 points in their first meeting versus Indonesia. Yu, meanwhile, against Iran, did not score, and that was in yesterday's match.
Yeah, started the game and would like to make up for it. Of course, the team captain here playing with a lot of pride.
Came off the bench in the second set, did not play in the last 2 sets in that 4-set loss to Iran that took over 100 minutes.
She is the oldest member of this Hong Kong team. Again, coming in with a lot of experience as the officials confer with each other here to make sure everything's all sorted. And just making sure that they get the rotation right.
To identify who the correct server will be.
Yu Yingqi on the service line again. Again, trying to bounce back from a scoreless outing last time around. Good serve.
Good save.
Dealt well with by Indonesia. Then Sabrina with the hit, kept alive here. They go to the wing again, and Chim can score. But still Hong Kong, they go back to Chim, and Chim blocked again. Joust at the net, and Indonesia come up with a point after a net violation.
That's good net play coming from Fanny. 1 point versus Vietnam for this middle blocker.
You know, you have to feel that this Indonesia team has grown throughout the tournament, throughout the competition. They face stronger and stronger opposition every step of the way. And now that they're going full circle, playing against Hong Kong once more, chance for them to show us just what they're made of.
Both teams really played well yesterday. Unfortunately, both teams lost to India and Iran in 4 sets.
Chim can get that through. They go to Shum, and Shum sends that long.
Okay, for a block touch, none given. Biggest lead right now for Indonesia, which stands at 3.
Only 11 players here for Indonesia. Only
That's
one
right.
listed libero as well. Oh, and that was an over-receive and a chance there for Janaida Santi. Not that time, though. Oh, and kept alive here. Great effort coming from Hong Kong, but then probably a miscue. The ball unable to be sent across, so Hong Kong pull one back, come within 2.
Indonesia slowly gathering confidence. Hong Kong needs to be very careful right now because this is a totally different team from the team that they beat in 3 straight sets last May 23rd.
Well, Indonesia is an incredible teacher. Experience is an incredible teacher here for Indonesia, Coach.
Oh, no doubt. And one thing that's going for them is that they've also played Hong Kong already. Unfamiliarity or the element of surprise is no longer there.
Coach, a couple of errors already here for Hong Kong. Remember, notably, their very first serve ended in a service error. Another service error here. That's a number we have to start watching for. That time, just hit the line. As Sabrina able to score once more. 9-6 is the tally.
One thing that we have noticed visibly in the first 6 days of competition is that a lot of teams have been able to limit their error count really. The disciplined approach and sticking to fundamentals.
It feels like that's just a sign that the level of play around the region
Totally
has
different.
gotten better.
Yes, of course.
And take a look at that. The theme song is from Mission Impossible. And for these Hong Kong players, they know the assignment.
Straight to Nathan Road when they fly home or TST.
Take a look at this. Ball in, ball out is a challenge, and that is clearly on the line, so they will lose this challenge. Unfortunate for Hong Kong.
Active at 10 a.m.
Yeah. They would have made Tom Cruise proud.
No doubt.
All right, so Indonesia on serve again. 4-point lead for the Indonesians against Hong Kong. Again, they did not win a single frame against them last time around. And an attack error there from Chim.
That's been the missing link on offense for Hong Kong. Chim very capable of scoring over 20 points, but so far well guarded. And Pang will give Chim a breather.
And they're going to see Pang come in. Pang only played the third frame in their last matchup against Indonesia. Only scored 1 point then. And of course, against Iran last time, Pang actually came up with 17 big points for Hong Kong. So let's see if he can replicate that here. And on cue, Pang with the attack, no good there. Rara with the setup, Junaid Asante.
Attacking Chu, the defensive specialist of Hong Kong. You see the vertical of Santi, you see the force. But more than that, the accuracy at 16. My goodness, playing well beyond her years.
Timeout called on the floor. Let's listen in.
追會緊張過去追嗰個波，你企喺度一步回嚟都夠嘅。OK， 好嘛 ？OK， 跟到，OK， 打起啦啊，打起啦啊 ，OK。
係啊，放膽打咯。
放膽去打，你唔使驚佢嘅。
緊晒。
OK。
喂，出去跑幾個跑遠射，修正球擺翻埋網少少平打。係香港。
Well, trying to steady the ship here, talking about Hong Kong, who now trail by 6, doubled up in their lead. Talking about Indonesia. Of course, this honestly does feel like a completely different team. No more nerves, not as tight as what we saw earlier on.
And more aggressive, aggressive.
Feels like they've definitely learned their lessons throughout the games. As Pang unable to get the ping. Junaid Asante with the reception. They go back to Junaid Asante, whose soft touch is enough.
You see here the blocking of Indonesia. Very evident. And sometimes you just don't measure net defense in terms of offensive blocks, but in terms of block attempts. That's a tip over the double block, and that's Santi with that variation, showing us once again probably experience gotten not just playing here, but also in the Pro Liga. 16 years old and already a pro.
Oh, that's a great reply there coming from Pang.
That open spot has been defended well, that left flank.
Well, I'm sure they have already scouted this great scorer, Apang Wing Lam. Unfortunately for them, unable to stop her then. Oh, what a save. But unable to keep that in.
You have to also give Rara some good words, simply because she has run this offense to perfection. And that's why they have been able to go activate multiple points of attack from the left wing, from the right, and even from the middle.
That's Rara Rizkamara, by the way. There are 2 Raras on the team.
Right.
And their numbers 2 and 22.
A lot of twos.
That's true, a lot of Ras. But that time, Pang with 1 that Hong Kong sorely needed.
Off the bench point here coming from Pang. Replacing their number 1 scorer, their top gun, Chi Merlier. She was blocked a couple of times, but they're still behind by 6 here in set number 1.
Again, Pang Wing Lam, no slouch at all, especially when it comes to scoring. Scored 17 points last time against Iran, the second leading scorer in their matchup.
Against Iran, and that's a very strong team.
Absolutely, Coach. Again, dragged it to 4 frames there and just fell short in the 4th. So they were able to catch up in the 3rd frame and prevent a sweep. But unfortunately for them, unable to get the reverse. Here's Shung, soft touch, that's good.
That's a reverse set, by the way. No Megawati in the lineup of Indonesia.
Yeah.
Megawati, of course, decorated, minted in last year's Challenge Cup, together with the best libero of Indonesia.
Again, one of the younger teams, as you mentioned. Yeah, this feels very much like a developmental group here for Indonesia, a bit of grassroots.
Well, you know what? Even Australia, as Caitlin Tipping has been traversing the under 17, under 19, under 21, under 23, and now is a fixture of the national team in the last 8 years. So the grassroots builds the open groups,
yeah,
and that's of course the senior team. We talk about the national team.
You know, it really goes to show that there is definitely a level, a pipeline in terms of the youth towards the senior level. And for this young Indonesian team, you have to feel that that's definitely going to be part of it. As Indonesia score once more, and it will be Rara Tagariani on the service line here for the Indonesians.
It's going to be a Southeast Asian Games year once again next year. And that will be played in Bangkok, while the Asian Games is, I believe, 2026.
Well, it's going to be a great showcase for these young girls here today to try and crack those lineups. So I'm sure the competition will be fierce. And Naina Santi with the heavy hand.
Australia is preparing for the 2032 Olympics in Brisbane. That's how long the preparation has been for them in terms of drawing and crafting their runway. Wow, what a first set here for Indonesia. 7-point lead against Hong Kong.
OK，慢條啲將佢擋到起嚟啦。後面嗰個波，你哋有個習慣，非得要跪低回接波咩？我打過嚟，我咁樣所有都夠啦。你唔需要一定要跪喺度。OK，咁啊。
減少戇居波啊！幾球開心波同埋網前波冇攞啫，就係嗰5分。係啦，冇噶啦，喂，自己集中啲，要追就係呢段追噶啦。係咪啊？係1、2、3，香港。
Again, Hong Kong trailing by 7 here against Indonesia, who got off to the hottest of starts. It was perhaps a little sign there after the first point turned out to be a service error for Hong Kong. A couple of errors, and of course Indonesia looking a bit more comfortable in this game compared to their first meeting. Probably the reason why it is what it is at the moment. But then that is a great timeout because it results in a quick point here coming from Kim Wing Ni. Another look at that there. Great setup. And Indonesia now on the receiving end of the serve from Ashum. Better blocking, but that time a net violation. And there's going to be a review here. As Chayaningtas feels that there was a block touch. So let's see whether or not they have the. Let's see whether or not they have a point as the Pink Panther comes out here in terms of the soundtrack. Coach Ronnie Magsan, very familiar with the Pink Panther.
So you're telling me you're more familiar with Mission Impossible?
Oh yes, I am. It's
Well, remember, it came before Pink Panther.
Did it? I don't think so.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I'm sure about
the TV show. Yes. Now I remember. All right. Your point, Coach. But then let's take a look at this. Again,
this is the more important point.
Yeah, this is the more important point, the block touch. And is there one? It looks like it hit the tape and the hand, so that will be a successful challenge.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
And immediately should turn to their head coach to point out that there was a block touch.
Coach Pedro Lilipadi with the successful call. So point will be replayed.
Yes. So the score should read 17-11.
So they're making sure that that is the case first before they move on.
Both teams will repeat the point.
So our referees conferring as well, just making sure.
Replay.
Yes.
Why?
Because they're really not finished. You'll be sent during the run.
Okay.
Our official score, 11 serving 17.
That's right.
11 serving 17, just clarified there. And this is just to goes to show you, Coach, that communication is important.
Especially if sometimes there's a slight language barrier. It happens.
That's a great serve. That time finding Sabrina. Good dig there and hit the pin, and not much that they could do about it. As Hong Kong pull within 4.
Within 5.
Within 5 rather,
Correct.
yes.
Score should have been 17-11. Even if Indonesia committed that poor defense miscue, I like what Santi is doing. Definitely a big-time two-way player, although Hong Kong has caught steam. Right now are behind by just 5.
Tapi kita begitu ini nggak rame, jangan ya. Yo, receive. Kita asal naik aja tadi kan, Om Idul ngomong kan, nggak harus bagus. Kalau bisa ya bagus. Ladut defend, naik. Kasihan tosernya nanti kalau anu, ya. Ayo. Pindah poin ya. Yo, ayo.
Well, with my very limited bahasa, I know ayo means go. And I'm sure words of encouragement towards the end, but another word that we could glean from that is the reception, receive.
Yes.
And as we saw a while ago, that was an issue why they conceded that last point.
Correct.
And a serve is ace straight away, Hong Kong. After we questioned whether or not their serving was on point after a couple of service errors already with a couple of aces as well. Shum was already camped at the service line. 4-point lead still for Indonesia though.
That is the second leading scorer for Hong Kong. All competition long.
And they go to their captain, Sabrina, scoring again.
Against a double block. Better reception leading to display coming off a reverse set. Look at the wind-up. Look at the finish. But more than that, look at this 5-point lead once again.
Sabrina Agustina, the
Nice serve.
eldest member of this team with the service ace.
But only
22, 21. Again, young group. Look, Coach Pedro Lilipadi likes that so much, he was dancing along with the music.
I saw that.
There he is. It must feel great knowing that the biggest cheerleader you have is your head coach as well.
True.
Shum with the swing. Goes to the other end.
With
and
a better swing.
just found the mark. Putri Agustin with the point.
Putri Agustin, Sabrina, Junaida Santi, Fanny, part of the future of Indonesia, the many years to come. In the same wavelength that we're talking about Panike, probably Bella Belen, Eliza Salomon, among others, and the rest of the Alas Pilipinas in action here at the Challenge Cup.
There's so much talent in both Indonesia, the Philippines, and everyone we're seeing here so far. There are so many young players that we expect to be suiting up for their national sides
Across the region.
Across the region, Coach, as we take a look at this last point. And just unable to save that, talking about Yim.
That's a sorry miss in terms of coverage for Hong Kong, who are now behind by 8 after slicing the lead to 5. And that replayed point really went against them. That was a telling blow to cut short their uprising earlier.
Shum. It's been covered well defensively at least. Junaida Santi from the basket
Specialty
scores.
of the house. Pipe delivery. Well, you know what? Looking at the countries what we are facing here, we have seen in this competition, just proves to show that what the Philippines is also doing replicates the correct volleyball program all across the region and even throughout Asia. You build the grassroots, you plan for the future, try to keep them together, and you also give them seasoning as they also try to play abroad.
Well, Coach, at the moment, Hong Kong looking for more answers to the platoon swap here, trailing 22-13. That's been Indonesia's day so far. Just doing everything right, defensively, offensively.
Totally different team, totally different match based on the 3-set win by Hong Kong over Indonesia in their initial encounter.
Rina Agustina with a good serve, but an even better swing coming from the substitutes. And their captain, Yu, says, not yet. Let's take a look at that again.
So the mission impossible is now mission possible for Hong Kong. That's the tune that they were dancing to earlier.
As Kong with a great setup for the captain, Yu. Again, Kong coming in as a substitute just a while ago. Asarara able to score. Just outsmarting the entire net defense here of Hong Kong. That is Rara Rizkamara.
Pays to have a tall setter, a scoring threat. 1-2 play delivered by Rara. Up 9, 1 point away from its first set point against Hong Kong.
Heavy serve from Putri Agustin. Go to Pang. And a good save there coming from Hong Kong. Great effort from girls in red. Rara with the setup and still kept alive, but can they get it across? No, they can't. Another point for Indonesia, and they're on set point here. They didn't take a single set away from Hong Kong in their last meeting, but this looks like a completely different matchup.
That slide play will lock in the front. Point number 24. Massive advantage at 10 set points here for Indonesia.
Putri Agustin hits the net.
Saving 1 of 10 set points, referring to Hong Kong.
Well, it ain't over till it's over, but Hong Kong, of course, need to mount a minor miracle if they want to get back into this.
We saw that last night in the game of Alas Filipinas when they had a 12-2 run.
Yeah.
Unil is still set 1 away from Kazakhstan. But that's not going to happen here as Hong Kong gives up that service error and will drop the first set 25-15.
25-15, completely different matchup to what we saw in their first meeting where Hong Kong swept Indonesia. But this is a different team. This is a different look. Maybe Hong Kong discouraged by the fact they're playing 7th and 8th classification. But either way, it is Indonesia who's come up with the better energy here today. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Ten-point win for Indonesia against Hong Kong in set number 1, 25-15, and what has been one of their most impressive sets here of the entire tournament. To be completely frank, Coach, they were doing everything right, attacking, doing a great job in terms of their reception, and limiting their own errors.
Putting value to the chance to play one more time before flying home, and this is exactly what we saw of Indonesia. It doesn't matter what spot you're playing for. What is essential is that you always give your best, and definitely they gave their best, and as a result, they played better, defended efficiently, attacked with more aggression. Santi, Sabrina, Fanny, among others, and led by Rara to produce a +8 tally in terms of attack points. And look at the error count for Indonesia. In about 25 minutes, only committing 3 miscues. Hong Kong, meanwhile, lapsing with 6. And with their top gun, Sim, or rather, were the top gun Chim not able to produce the much needed points, it was a tall order for Hong Kong to overcome an early deficit, and they were not able to fight back after the midpoint of that initial set.
Well, there's a lot that needs to be worked out here for Hong Kong, apart from the 6 opposing errors. To be completely honest, that is not the big error count, but then when your opponent only concedes 3, it feels a lot bigger. But at the same time, you take a look at this Hong Kong group, it just feels that they have been checked, maybe scouted here from the defensive end.
Maybe tired also.
Maybe tired as well. Again, not just physically, but maybe emotionally after coming close from, again, they lost in 4 sets against Iran, but they were mounting a good comeback. It was a good fight. Unfortunately for them, just fell short. There was an extended frame in the second set that lasted 34 minutes in that last one. But then Indonesia also coming off the same boat. In the second set against India, it was a 35-minute affair that ended 32-30 in favor of Indonesia.
And they only have 11 players seeing action here in the Challenge Cup, which incidentally is the last edition of this competition. After this, the FIVB has restructured the qualifiers for the BNL. So this is the last edition which adds more prestige in terms of standings after today's final matches.
You want to come home as one of the big winners of this tournament again. A tournament that we're all going to miss. But at the same time, with the restructuring, we're excited to see just how things develop from this point on.
And we'll give more spots, I believe, to some Asian countries.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big development and a good motivation for Team Philippines. But we will host the Challenger Cup come July. And also Alas Pilipinas men's team, I'm sure will fly shortly to Bahrain to compete in this Challenge Cup.
Junaida Santi with the first point here. Let's take a look at that again. Popped up perfectly for Junaida.
Able to make adjustments, not very choosy when you talk about sets that are given to her. Talking about Junaida Santi.
Great net defense shown here by Indonesia. And as I say that, the coverage there was lacking.
Of speed coming from Hong Kong. Courtesy of player number 8, and that is Chim, whom we mentioned was the missing link offensively for them after being blocked a couple of times in set 1. 24 points yesterday in that 4-set loss versus Iran.
18 points last time in their meeting against Indonesia. We'll need something similar. Espela Sabrina Agostina with a good swing, but great reception there, and that time scoring off the block. Yu getting into groove here. Coach Yu Ying-chi, again scoreless in their last matchup, trying to make up for it here.
True. Yesterday, did not score as well.
Yeah.
Started out, came off the bench in set 2.
Oh, check that, Coach. She scored 7 last time against Indonesia, but then scoreless in the last game, wanting to make up for it.
Correct.
And Hong Kong off to a much better start here in set number 2, trying to show everyone that set number 1 showing was a bit of an aberration. Let's take a look at that again.
Excellent line shot here. Coming from Chim, Wang Lim Chim.
And a service ace, yes. And all of a sudden, momentum has swung all the way to Hong Kong. All smiles are for them. Let's take a look at that again as Pang coming up big. Again, Pang scored 17 in the last game. Barely played, rather, in their first matchup against Indonesia. So that's a new face for them. And, of course, Junaida Santi says, wait, let me stop the rally.
That's the go-to. When they need a point, when you want to go high percentage, Junaida Santi is going to be top of mind against the single block. Very hard to stop.
Junaida Santi with a sharp serve. Go to the captain once again and trying to go down the line. The point will go Indonesia's way, though.
That's a miss on that line shot. They only had 10 attack points in that first set loss. A set that they lost at 25-15. Looking for more offense. But more than that, looking for better floor and net defense to generate more offense. Santi.
What a great serve again, and unable to keep that alive. That's a service ace again for Junaida Santi. Another look at that here again. Here comes the boom as Junaida Santi delivered a sharp one.
One ace for Indonesia in that set 1 win. Their first one here in set 2.
And that's a great reply coming from Chim.
I believe Chim has already scored 3 of the first 5 points. Indonesia fighting back after being down by 3 at 4-1.
Well, they did lose by 10 points in the last game, but they're definitely not down for the count as Fong hits the service line. Bella Sabrina Agostina.
Right, off the block point from Sabrina.
Well, Sabrina, it feels like this Indonesia team has been going primarily to Junaida Santi, but Bella Sabrina Agostina
Correct.
also has her moments wherein she can score in bursts for this Indonesian group.
True. The pin hitters.
Good reception there coming from Indonesia. Junaida Santi from the back.
Again, that pipe play for Santi.
And that's been a bit of their favorite. Great net defense shown there by Indonesia. Single block coverage, not good enough.
Good adjustment coming from Chim. Beating Rara. In terms of coverage, over the blocker. Definitely an excellent set, as only one blocker was able to stay in front of Chim. 1 point lead for Hong Kong.
Here's Chim again. Has slowly become public enemy #1 for this Indonesian group. Putri Agustin. It's a great dig. Chim again. Scores and pushes the lead up to 2.
More touches, but more than that, more efficient and more accurate here in set 2.
Chim again. That time, the serve floated in. Sabrina tried to attack the back. They go back to the captain. Good coverage from Indonesia. Junaida Santi trying to make something out of nothing. And the slide, not good enough.
That's a miss.
Shot sent wide.
Not everybody's a back row specialist, really.
Let's take a look at that again here, Coach.
They made the decision to go for the pipe. Definitely, that was way wide the moment that ball made contact. That's a pipe.
Santi, that is, you know, talk about the specialists. You talked about that a while ago. Junaida Santi definitely has that in her locker.
Eliza Valdez was the proponent of that shot many years back. Cici Rendinas also perfected that, but Junaida Santi at 16 years old. Well.
And to do it at this level. They go back to the captain, who scores after the lack of coverage behind the blockers.
They've gone almost exclusive to Chim in this set, but they need help. And that help came from this side. Against a double block. Well placed.
Here's you again. Fani. Santi has been really feasting at the back here.
Well, normally when you have some problems, you go to the open. For Indonesia, they go to the back. Because Santi is lethal even with that pipe play. 3 points from that kind coming from Santi in this match.
Hong Kong need to find an answer to that pipe attack there from Santi. As Junaida has started to make a living here, but then showing us that not just limited to the pipe, able to attack at the wing as well.
And when she is in front, that spells double problem, or double the problem for Hong Kong.
Another look at that. Oof. Heavy swing.
Just a gifted athlete, really.
Great serve there. Back set, scoring against the block of Santi.
But Santi was right there to try and block Chim. That's a good sign. You're not just the top gun on offense, but also plays and works hard on defense. But Chim got the better of Santi in that last exchange.
Yin Wing Ni trying to break the tie here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Fani with a big hit. It's kept alive though. Good effort here from Hong Kong. And the pancake save is good. Free ball to play with here for Indonesia. Who do they turn to? And that time, just trying to be a bit too clever there.
Overpass. That was an overpass that Rara had to dump. This was the first one. But look at the pancake save. It happened 2 times. As a result, they win this transition point. This one, that's an overpass.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. Fanny tried to use her foot to try and save that, but unable to reach it. Hong Kong in the lead here.
Excellent floor defense coming from the red shirts.
We go back to Junaida Santi.
Wow. Any angle that she takes.
So far, feels like Junaida Santi has turned up big here in this game.
And no doubt she has introduced herself to the region with this top-notch performance in her first appearance.
Earning her spot on the scouting report.
Correct.
Wow. Able to outsmart.
Santi was right
Net
there.
D.
Not able to press that last block. Look at this play. Almost an overpass.
There's Feng Xian with the point. Now goes to the service line. Junaida Santi again finding the gap in the back.
Not the best first ball really, but Santi finds the way once again. Just a simple bump set, and then Santi against a double block. Not even going for the line shot. Attack zone 6. Scores once more. Over 10 points most probably already for Junaida Santi. That's long.
That's long and gives the lead back to Hong Kong. 1 point lead here for Hong Kong. Again, these two teams played a very long set number 2 in yesterday's matches. Again, Indonesia and India playing a 35-minute set number 2 that Indonesia came up with the win, and while Hong Kong and Iran played a 34-minute set number 2 with Iran escaping 26-24 as Hong Kong continue to up their lead here. Pang Wing Lam with the serve. And Sabrina, not that time. Chased, hit. Good coverage shown by Indonesia. Putri Agustin.
Finally. So it took enough speed to score a winner against the tough floor defense. Definitely better defense in the set for Hong Kong. And that's why they were ahead for most of the time here in set number 2. Or they have been ahead for most of the time here in set 2.
The Santi, heavy serve again. Soft touch, but then too close there for Rara. Putri Agustin, not that time. And that hit the pin, so the point goes the way of Indonesia.
Putra Agustin forcing that miss. Let's take a look at that last action. That's good net defense, really. Taking away airspace for Chim.
And again, that felt like it was going to be trying to get down the line, but then Putri Agustin, after forcing the hit on the pin, and now I believe they're going to check something here.
They called an infraction on Putri Agustin after almost scoring a point for Indonesia.
So checking the net fault. Again, this is going to be one of the tighter frames between these two, or it's starting to feel that way. Bit of a nice back and forth we're seeing here.
If you do have time today, please do join us. We have 3 more matches lined up for all of you.
Of course, if you can't join us here live at the venue, please do enjoy our coverage here. Of course, I don't know if we're going to see Coach Ronnie Magsanok again, but I encourage everyone to savor this moment alongside the really unflappable Coach Ronnie Magsanok. So take a look at this here. Let's see if there's a net touch. Ooh, yes there is. Sharp eyes from our referees there to be able to call that.
So still a 1-point lead here for Hong Kong. At 1 p.m., India faces Iran for the 5th and 6th spots, while the Philippines will square off against Australia for the bronze. Philippines beat Australia in 4 sets. First time that they met, while Vietnam tries to beat Kazakhstan for the gold.
Indonesia tie it up, as it is Rara Tegaryani who gets the point here for Indonesia. And now goes the service line.
Vietnam looking to go back-to-back titles after winning last year's edition against Indonesia in Indonesia's home soil.
And easier said than done, especially with a team like Kazakhstan, number 30 in the world.
Correct, the highest seeded team.
Oh, the net defense there. After not scoring a single block point in set number 1, their blocking has come alive here in set number 2.
Understanding the need to be more constant with their blocking, as Hong Kong's offense has vastly improved.
Rara Tegaryani on the service line here as Indonesia steal the lead away from Hong Kong.
Short serve.
And a service ace.
This is the other Rara. Rara the setter and Rara the ace server.
And cue the timeout here for Hong Kong. Let's listen in.
打尖尖嗰一點，打高少少唔怕。
好啊，我哋係講咗。
OK，好嘛？要快我哋已經乜都冇噶啦，都打得簡單啲噶啦。OK，咁啊中間緊打，中間仲有打。接花球咁收個波早啲上。係。你哋有個習慣，中意將個波擺地面接花球，呢個好唔穩陣。高一啲上咗嚟。係。1、2、3，開講。
Hong Kong, earlier part of this frame, looked like they have returned to their old ways, starting out the stronger between those two. But Indonesia managing a little comeback of their own. Sharp serving, better net defense here. One of the reasons why they're back into this one.
And the Junaida Santi factor.
Yes, absolutely. Rara Tegaryani, who scored a service ace a while ago. No ace this time around, but Indonesia with a chance here to look for someone. Putri Agustin with a soft touch. Nothing there, but a bit of a scramble here from Hong Kong. Rara with the setup to Rara again, and Junaida Santi from the back.
You see the go-to? Back row play. Because that's a high percentage play that Junaida Santi almost always scores upon. And again, against the single block versus that pipe, cements a 4-point run here for Indonesia.
Bit of help from the tape there. As Hong Kong looking for a reply. Good net defense again shown by Indonesia. Second chance, that time off the block. Chim with the score.
Will not be denied. The top gun is back as Hong Kong tries to stay alive here in this set.
Jin Wing Lam back on the service line here for Hong Kong, trying to overcome and overturn a 2-point disadvantage.
That won't happen yet.
Block.
Right. Sabrina is also a very good scoring option. In their previous matches, like what you mentioned earlier, inside their Santi at the left, Sabrina at the right. Or on the flip side, the two best scoring options once again joining forces here in set number 2 to give their team a 3-point lead.
That time hitting a lot of the tape, but it goes across. The Santi again from the back. It doesn't matter where she is, she scores.
How many players take that much attempts or that much shots from the pipe and score with about an 80% accuracy?
Another look at that there. That time off the block. And the slide is good.
That's a clean hit. Angled hit on that slide play. That running play executed to perfection. Reverse set. Beating the libero.
Yu Ying Chi on the service line here as Hong Kong stopped the bleeding, but they're not out of the woods just yet. Almost a service ace there. Bella Sabrina Agustina sends it for a 3 ball here for Hong Kong. Pang Not that time. Well covered there. Sabrina Agustina, still no good. The setup here, Putri Agustin. Good rally between these two, ended by Fanny.
Net touch
Oh,
again.
but there's another net touch. I don't know if they have a challenge. Yes, they do.
It's almost the same play.
Yeah, same player, I believe.
Same
also.
player as well.
Net fault is going to be the challenge here. Well, we did see the net move, but it might have been due to the ball more than anything else. But let's see. Again, that's what the challenge system is for here. And these two teams, it feels like we're seeing two completely different sides from what we did in their first meeting, especially from Indonesia. Looking like a more experienced group here. And it playing all these high-level games, I'm sure, has helped them supercharge their growth.
What you just said is actually true. You start out as a team that's probably a raw team, as they are in their first senior level competition. But then you make them play 2 to 3 matches, they are going to be different. Ooh. Earlier it was a yes, this time it's clearly a no.
And
pulling the fingers
yeah,
back.
pulling the fingers back.
That was the difference.
It was a bit of a fist. So
No net touch.
no net touch.
So the point should go to
Indonesia. Or I'm not quite sure. Will they replay the point instead? Officials having a discussion here through their headpieces. So the point will be replayed. So
The challenge is successful.
Locally, I whistled for
Then the
that.
point should go
For
to
the net ball.
Indonesia.
That's why it's a common thing. Because the ball was not dead, that's why.
So the ball was not dead. That's the explanation.
Okay, so
when
the ball,
they whistled for
so
the
it
ball,
will be replayed.
it will be replayed.
All right.
It's nice that we have our referees all mic'd up. I'm not sure if they like that. It's good that we have it mic'd up.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure, yeah,
They're so used to it already.
for sure. I'd love to have a conversation with our officials with regards to that. It's Putri Agustin!
That's no doubt that there's no net touch.
Oh, no doubt at all. Coming up with a lot of fire.
Good reaction. No let down. No hanging heads. But more than that, line shot. That was definitely emphatic. A lot of scoring options here for Rara to activate, really. And they have delivered.
Pang with the push. Covered bell by Janaida Santi, who attacks from the back and this time overcooks it. Well, proof that she's human.
That's a rare miss for Junaida Santi, but they're still up by 3.
3-point lead. Still a lot to do here. Clearly not out of the woods yet are this Indonesian team, who have played very well here in this middle part towards the tail end of this second frame. But of course, Hong Kong looking to still mount a comeback and even the scores here in the set count. Here's Yim. Oh, hits the tape, doesn't go across. And it's now 21-17 in favor of Indonesia.
Down 3 to open up this set. Up 4 as we get to the finishing part of this second set. And another strong finishing kick here shown by Indonesia, trying to build a 2-set advantage against a team that beat them in 3 straight sets in their first meeting.
你都係呢度硬手嘅就得㗎啦，冇波咁快，咁速度咁大，even佢後排攻都冇咁快，你都太過敏㗎啦，已經係 OK。咁咧前面呢地一啲都可以守得起 ，OK，好嘛？ 打中間得唔得？而家我哋兩邊都唔係太受歡迎，咁樣去啊。
咁我哋 passing 加油
打中嘅，咁啊，
盡做。
做好 passing，咁樣去中間準備打。
係10號打6號一定要留一個人喺度，前排2個人咧硬淨啲慢啲跳，睇佢後邊6號一個追。開講。
21-17 in favor of Indonesia. Hong Kong trying to mount a comeback here. We are nearing the hour mark of this contest between these two, as Indonesia are looking to take a 2-0 lead in terms of sets in the end of this sequence. 21-17 the score, 21 serving 17. Putri Agustin on the service line here. And right now, the horn blown.
Incorrect server. Should have been Sabrina.
And Indonesia seeking clarification here. And just making sure everything's all sorted. And even Sabrina double checking the tablet. And of course, these are one of the things that could have been clarified beforehand.
Because you can ask.
Yeah. As Hong Kong right now just keeping warm as they are all getting things sorted out.
Because the venue is really cold at present.
You know, this is probably the one time the both of us forget to bring our own jackets.
Brought mine, left it in the car.
Brought mine, left it in the prod room. But for the players, well, just having to keep warm here.
I think it's warmer when you're
on the floor with the lights
away from the
coming
AC.
in. Yeah, absolutely.
And with the floodlights as well.
And it's been a bit rainy in Manila compared to what it was in the past few weeks as of late.
At the break of dawn.
Yeah.
At the break of dawn again. Earlier today.
So a bit cooler here in after Manila
heat wave
had a little heat wave that the locals had to deal with.
It's a good thing before all of the teams played in. It was better in terms of temperature.
Though they had to deal with a tropical depression in the middle of the tournament, but all's good. No problems with regards to the weather as in terms of the continuation of the games. So, again, still seeking clarification here.
Before the timeout, yes, I'm from 4. Now I'm from 3, 6, 2. Yes. Sir, from 18.
You see, 24. After 4, 18, and then 24. Okay? That number 6. So now this time the service was of number 6. He has to made it. Okay?
So the clarification made after seeking the conference of two tablets. But that has been sorted out, and Indonesia will lose the point. 21-18 now the score.
3-point given up.
Junaida Santi wins it back though.
1 point taken back.
4-point lead for Indonesia. Hong Kong, well, maybe left cold by that break.
But Junaida Santi's hot hands remains. Heavy hands.
Araris Camara with the serve. That time the net defense slowed that down. The coverage was there as well. Junaida Santi!
Did you see that shot? Libero was right there. Cross-court coverage right there. But the trajectory and the velocity of that shot was better than the defense and even against the blockers.
Araris Camara on the service line again. Good serve. Dealt well with. That time off speed, doesn't even cross the tape.
And that's what block attempts does to the other teams. Casts a doubt, even against the top scorer, the best pin hitter for Hong Kong, or now beleaguered as they're down by 6 set points.
Well, is there a minor comeback on the cards here? Is there a minor miracle present here for Hong Kong? Or will Rara Riskamara end this here? That time scoring off the block, that's 1 set point save.
Indonesia had 10 set points in set 1. Hong Kong saved 1, eventually lost that set 25-15. Right now, earlier, 6 set points for Indonesia. Hong Kong saves 1, but are still behind at 24-19.
It's a long way to go here. Have to serve a perfect game as well. Pang with the serve. Rara Riskamara to the other Rara. Popped up. Who did they turn to? Overpass, and that time,
Net touch.
net touch.
Clear as day. Overreach?
Overreach, rather.
That's a heartbreaker.
Yes, it is, and that'll be 25-19. No challenges made here by Hong Kong, and Indonesia take a 2-0 lead over a foe that swept them in their last game. Let's take a look at that again. Overreaching. Well, that's the call the referee made, and the point and the set goes Indonesia's way. 25-19 at the end of set number 2. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Set 2 goes the way of Indonesia after a protracted frame here between these two. As we take a look at some of the highlights here in set number 2, Hong Kong actually started out the better of these two teams, but then Indonesia finding ways, courtesy of Junaida Santi, who comes up big in terms of scoring. Attack from the pipe, from the open, no matter where she was able to score. Here's another example of that again. And I just could not handle the heavy hands of Junaida Santi. Though Hong Kong did manage to come up with a bit of resistance, unfortunately for them, it was Indonesia who had the advantage in almost every category, including attack points. They had a +3 advantage against Hong Kong there, even up and only 1 block apiece. And of course, 2 service aces for Indonesia compared to the 1 of Hong Kong. As we take a look again at the other attempts here between these two. But even the breaks of the game, even though they went Hong Kong's way, including a couple of errors, including a service rotation error that could have spelled doom and gloom here for Indonesia, Hong Kong unable to take advantage. Let's take a look at the numbers here today. Again, Indonesia taking advantage of 6 errors from Hong Kong, 6-4, and another set that they hope that they can replicate going to set number 3. This does not look like the team that was swept in their previous meeting against Hong Kong. This looks like a completely different group. And of course, let's see whether or not this Hong Kong side could pull a bit of an upset here. An upset that it shouldn't be an upset for them, but let's see whether or not Hong Kong could pull one back and maybe, just maybe, extend this game into something more. A lot of smiles on the faces early on for Hong Kong in set number 2, but that all changed, especially when Indonesia started to find their rhythm. Let's see how set number 3 begins. Not necessarily the strong start is what really separates these two. They all need a way to try and sustain a good run, especially at the midpoint of the contest. That has been the theme here so far, and let's see whether or not it will continue here. Scores reset to 0, as you saw on the top left of your screen, as Indonesia are trying to make this an early morning for both these two. Looking for the sweep, looking for the win. As Hong Kong looking to change the narrative here. Coach Ron, you take a look at the numbers a while ago, a +3 advantage for Indonesia. And a lot of it could be credited to Junaida Santi.
True. But really, I thought that Indonesia had more scoring options. That's why it was harder for Hong Kong to really defend them at the net and with the floor defense. And Indonesia also winning the big points. So in spite of the fact that their attack points have decreased by 2 and Hong Kong increased their attack points by 3, once again, the error count for Indonesia stayed at just 4. Hong Kong again at 6, and perhaps those two, in terms of disparity in numbers, were big enough for Indonesia to be able to overcome an early deficit. And once again, riding the shoulders of their youngest player, Junaida Santi, to be able to fight back, take the lead away, and build a 2-set lead over Hong Kong.
This Hong Kong team still very dangerous. Fung Si-yan trying to get them started off on the right foot here against Indonesia. Rara with the setup to Junaida Santi again. Better coverage here coming from Hong Kong. Pang with a bang.
Two-way plays coming from Pang. First, digging Junaida Santi and then delivering the line shot in this sequence. All in one for a 1-point lead to open up set number 3.
We said they needed a good start, and that's definitely a good point to have in their back pocket. Rara with the setup to Junaida Santi again. Covered well. And that time trying to score off the block, but it stays in. And again, they only had 1 block point in the second frame and none in the first. So if all of a sudden they could turn into a better team defending at the net and getting more kill blocks, it could change the narrative here in set number 3.
That's true. If they can.
If they can, that's a big if. Then Junaida Santi was credited with the last block point as they go to Sabrina Agustina.
Look at that
bit
hustle
of a
play.
chase. Hong Kong sending a free ball Indonesia's way. Who do they turn to here? Rara.
Oh,
And
that's
the
a miss.
slide not working out. Rara to Rara, not working.
Not that time. That slide play will not connect.
Pang Wing Lam with the serve. Too heavy. All knotted up at 2 apiece now.
Good break here for Indonesia. 2 sets up, 1 set to go for the chance to finish in the 7th spot.
Getting a bit of the tape there. Kept alive. And low. Just too low.
Too low on that contact. Attempted shoot. Will not get it done. For Hong Kong, 2022 title holders in a 5-team competition. 2023, Indonesia finished second to Vietnam. Off the block point here, meanwhile.
You getting the point. But Indonesia still up by 1. Or rather, all knotted up now at 3.
Different approach here for Hong Kong in this set. Wow.
Putri Agustin comes up big, returns the lead here to Indonesia.
Also a high percentage hitter, really. May not be getting as much touches as Santi or Sabrina, but every time she gets one, normally she scores over the double block.
Rara Tegariani. Oh, got a bit of help from the tape, and that's a service ace.
It's always essential to be good and outstanding, but at times pays to be lucky. And this was a lucky service ace for Indonesia for a 2-point lead here in set number 3.
That time, too low, returns the point.
Too low and too short.
5-4, still in favor of Indonesia though. Ching Wing Lam on the service line here for Hong Kong. But a service error, return with another service error.
That's the best player for Hong Kong offensively with a misfire. something that they're hoping that they can afford or avoid for them to stay close or be in the lead here against Indonesia.
3 ball to play with here for Indonesia. Janina Santi, Rara to Agustina.
That's in, straight to zone 1. And again, releasing pressure from Santi, that Santi does not have to score each and every single time.
Another look at that there.
That's the value of Putri Agustin also having a share in terms of offense for Indonesia. And then Santi comes along once again.
But that time, managing to survive that.
That's been dug at least 3 times here in set 3.
Good coverage there. This time, Bella Agustina.
Really a very clean hitter. Perfect timing, excellent contact. For a 4-point lead here in set number 3. Early timeout for Hong Kong China, as once again they are on their heels early here in set 3.
如果佢係打兩邊，你跟唔切就單人啦，唔難啦，明唔明 ？OK， 你哋知唔知？你只係跟中間，跟完中間兩邊冇。OK， 兩邊如果埋網波就就波，要開網波，封住一條線就得㗎啦。扣防到。
中㗎啦，係得㗎。咁你落嚟攞支波喎。係嚟，加油！吸啖氣再出嚟，加油！1、2、3，開球！
Well, Indonesia have doubled up here on Hong Kong, and they're going to try to overturn that here. Again, this has been not necessarily the cleanest frame between these two, especially in the early exchanges. Sabrina Agustina, good serve again. And that slide was just poked through.
This time they score off that running hit. Defensive specialist was beaten. Good misdirection.
Yu Wing Ni with the point there.
After timeout play.
Unless you need a timeout now in hindsight. Oh, Fani. Well dug in. Good defense, good floor defense shown by these two squads. And Junaida Santi.
Another lucky break.
Just getting a bit of help from the tape, getting it to roll across to the other end.
That was a more difficult shot for Santi.
Yeah.
As it was a simple bomb set. It was just put as high as they could. She had to make the adjustment. And that's talent really for Junaida Santi at its best.
Another look at that. That's Pang denied by the blockers here for Indonesia from the back.
Nice.
Oh, that was a stinging hit coming from Chin Wing Lam.
A good shift from the left flank all the way to a back row play. This play.
Another look at that serve coming from Hong Kong in a miscue. Fani just did not read that right.
Out of sync, out of touch, and with no touch, they give up that free point. Their head coach telling Rara to go to the pin hitters, go open, go opposite.
2-point lead for Indonesia still. Hong Kong trailed by as much as 4.
Correct.
And the over-reception there did not do them any good. And now, cue the timeout from Indonesia with Hong Kong breathing down their necks.
Timeout Indonesia.
Dengerin ya. Toser mainnya bola-bola buka aja dulu. Ya, cari aman, cari poin ya. Kita bukan ini, cari poin. Oke, kita naik lagi servisnya ya. Resipnya ya. Resipnya naik. Ya, resipnya naik. Langsung poin. Oke? Yuk, langsung poin yuk. Yuk.
Ayo. Indonesia.
Ya.
After Hong Kong called timeout earlier when they were behind at A4, they rattled off 4 of the next 5 points and are only behind by 1. Indonesia's turn to call a timeout. as their lead is threatened. Let's see how they respond. This early rally here coming from Hong Kong.
Yim Wing Ni on the service line here as Hong Kong are looking to even things up.
8-9.
That's a good timeout.
Yep, that's a great timeout.
Outside the point for Indonesia.
Freezing the server and getting the point in. So Indonesia, again, led as much as 4. Almost saw another draw here, another tie between these two. Good net defense shown by Junaida Santi. And free ball to play with here for Indonesia. They go back to Santi.
Again dubbed.
That was a great dig again. Rara with the setup to Junaida Santi. She'll try again. But then Hong Kong feels like they start half her number as Pang scores.
Net touch. Pang will be called for an infraction.
Oh, Pang called for it. Let's see. Let's take a look at that again. Absolutely right, Coach.
Oh, what happened there? Yes, the call was against Pang. So the point went to Indonesia.
I believe no challenge here as well from Hong Kong. So
That action happened right in front of the first referee.
all right. Well, we continued following the play without realizing that the call had been made. Here's Pang again.
Blocked by Rara, the setter.
Again, this is a team that only had 1 block point in sets 1 and 2. Here in set number 3, already have a couple.
But a lot of block attempts still.
Yes.
So Hong Kong down 8-4, called timeout. They came back for the last 5 points. Indonesia called timeout, having a 3-point run to increase their lead to 4 at 12-8.
你嘅未跳起嚟打，又冇想翻嚟，你呢個1對1嘅籃網咁係點啊？你想人冇人籃網俾你？
喂，繼續拼命防守啊！喂，呢個 run 咧，佢哋又係想開個快，但係20號喺前排，我哋守到佢啦，20號，我哋用心啲打個修正，用心啲俾雷成，我哋唔可以懶一步，全部人去吸發，
嚟1、2、3，
全部人去防守。
Well, 4-point lead for Indonesia. Hong Kong sue for time, trying to get more fire in their bellies as they try to mount a comeback here. 4 matches, the biggest lead we've had in this frame so far, as Indonesia will try to pile on the misery on Hong Kong.
That's the final timeout called by Hong Kong.
Almost an ace there. Pang sends it free. Rara. Set up again, this time going to Sabrina Guspina.
Yes. I thought that Santi was going to take that shot. Rara went opposite. And that was a set that was too low. You see? Well-timed block.
And they're going to be hoping that that's the moment that keeps them in the game, or gives them the momentum.
Replaced by Nisa, their secondary setter, who's the taller setter. 2 very tall playmakers.
Nisa Azara seeing action for the first time here, setting up Junaida Santi. Oh, sent back there by Hong Kong. That time scoring off the block.
That's a rare point. Activating the middle hitter, really. A lot of times it's either an attack miscue or out of sync.
Azara on the service line here. Good serve.
That's a very clean play.
A good floor defense shown by everyone here so far in this little sequence. Well, it's good net defense. Here's Pang.
Difficult angle taken.
We go back to Junaida Santi, slowed down by the blockers.
Still defended well.
Oh, this is textbook so far between these two. Junaida Santi. Not that time. They go back to Pang. And they read that correctly, and the point, or rather they don't read it correctly. Phang Wing Lam will get the point. Off the block, I believe.
Indonesia thought that it was wide, but it was called a block touch.
Yeah, so they're going to challenge it. Challenging the block touch.
This video challenge is brought to you by Akari.
Let's take a look and see if they have a point here. Well, initially, I personally saw that it went wide, but...
That's what I saw, but maybe they saw something else.
Yep.
So
Well, I mean,
that
we've
they will
been
have to
wrong
double
already
check.
in this coverage.
Oh, many times.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's see whether or not the challenge here is warranted. Or maybe we should start wearing stronger glasses here
You
from
don't.
our commentary
I don't.
position.
I do.
Let's take a look at that. Is there a block touch here? No block touch, so the point will go Indonesia's way. That's a good challenge, coach. So yes, we do not need glasses yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no blocking contact. This challenge is successful.
So we were right for once.
Yeah. Lisa Azara on the service line again. Well, no mistake about that. As Chim getting the score.
Needing a critical point. That's the top gun. Scoring point number 10 as Rara returns.
Rara Kamara on the service, returns to the game. Phang Wing Lam with the serve. Rara Kamara set up to Bella Sabrina Agustina. And that time, getting a bit of help from the tape, a little tightrope, and goes out. So Indonesia, the 5-point lead, their biggest of the game so far. All right, our biggest of the frame. They did win the first set by 10. Janeda Santi with the big serve. And that time, quick doesn't work out.
They will challenge, talking about Hong Kong.
They're going to challenge a block touch here. Again, you know, this is a very different Indonesian team that we saw from the first game against Hong Kong.
Much improved.
Much improved, more relaxed.
With direction.
Yeah. It feels like they got to know each other a bit more.
That's the days have gone by in the last 7 days. You define your roles better. You understand what you need to do. You're more familiar with the opponents. And you're more comfortable playing in the venue as well. For the chance to finish in the 5th spot.
Well, definitely not a block touch there. Quick
7th spot.
No block touch there. Easy call for the referees to make.
And sometimes coaches use the challenges and an official timeout, really.
Yeah. Again, they ran out of timeouts already a while
Correct.
ago.
To break the momentum and to allow your players to think and rest.
Oh, what a serve there from Janeda Santi, but kept alive there. Over-received and finished at the net.
Finally, they get a break. Down 6, their biggest deficit. Scores on the next play. A total of 23 attack points for Hong Kong heading to set number 3. Meanwhile, Indonesia has 34, or 23 attack points for Hong Kong heading to set number 3. Oh, misread.
Back-to-back points here coming from Hong Kong. And cue the timeout from Indonesia. They do have a 4-point lead, but they do not like the last 2 sequences. Let's listen in.
Ayo. Lebih fokus lagi di receive, ya. Baru kita nyerang. Ya, main bola-bola buka aja. Dia bloknya udah nggak ini dah, ya. Bloknya nggak bagus sana. Oke, power tapi ya. Oke, yuk. Indonesia.
So trying to work on the service game and the reception. And I believe Bella Sabrina Agustina already with 20 points or near that number. An impressive showing here.
No, double digits, but not so sure as we don't have the exact count right now.
Around double
But
digits
definitely,
rather.
should they prevail, one of the top candidates for the best player of the match, should they prevail?
Of course. It's still not done yet. As Hong Kong unable to keep that alive though.
Another good break. At least 4 good breaks here for Indonesia in this set.
4 good breaks and 5 points ahead. Take a look at this again.
Wow. Smart shot coming from Indonesia. As Santi's little ways have been contained here in set 3 by the floor defense of Hong Kong.
Yu. Blocking, slow that down. Rara looking for Bella Sabrina Agustina.
Has fired the critical points here in set 3. Santi at the most 2 points here in set number 3.
Well, showing everyone that she's the finisher. Again,
True.
the captain, the leader, leading by example.
And again, off the block.
Scoring off the block there. As Shum will check in here for Hong Kong.
Trying to find their lifeline as the pulse is slowly ebbing here for the red shirts from Hong Kong.
You gotta feel it's the last roll of the dice here as Shum, who played very well in their first game against Indonesia, hasn't featured as much here in this one.
Both coaches have no more timeouts. No more challenge for Hong Kong. Indonesia still has one. Point number 20 already here for Indonesia.
Well, if they are going to mount a comeback, it has to come now, coming for Hong Kong. Take a look at that again, just outside the pin. Rara Tegariani with the serve. Rara Tegariani has been there for quite a while. Shum pushes that across.
Ooh.
And could not keep that alive.
Well, she tried to pancake.
She really tried.
She tried to pancake that ball up.
We applaud the effort, but let's take a look at that again. Look at
good block.
Rara. Rara's already on the ground,
Look at the
and
effort.
there's nothing she could do. Chuming Lam with the serve. Putri Agustin stopped by the blockers there. The setup. And the good hit there coming from Hong Kong. Yim Wing Lee.
Down 8 behind 6. One final push here for the red shirts. Meanwhile, Indonesia looking to close out. In their first meeting, Hong Kong won by 1 in 3 sets, sweeping Indonesia, but that's all in the past.
Well, you know, you take a look at what happened in their first game in set number 2. It was Indonesia was playing comeback, and they actually forced an extension of the frame. 24-26 was the count, and Hong Kong came up on top.
That's
but the
long.
service error does not help them at all. 21-14 now.
Second service error from the top gun of Hong Kong in this set. 25-15, 25-19. Scoreline so far in the first 2 sets.
Well, definitely over double-digit scoring here, talking about Agustin. And as we gave her praises, that's a service error. Here's Shumlam. And Agustina unable to score then. Pang again. Junaida Santi.
Still cannot fire the bullets here in set 3.
It's been different here in set number 3 after being so good in set number 1 and 2. Still though, they're in the lead. Junaida Santi will try again. Good digging showed by these two teams.
Right.
Here's Pang. Lifted up. Good rally between these two. And Hong Kong able to survive that. 21-16 the score here so far. Let's take a look at that again. Finding the empty spot.
As the playmaker of Hong Kong. Point number 16.
Pang.
Off the block this time. Down to 4.
Don't look now, but Hong Kong showing signs of life.
Second leading scorer of Hong Kong at the service line. Rather poor reception here for Indonesia.
Putri Agustin overcooked it.
Leading to that miss.
But they're going to challenge a block touch. So let's see whether or not they will get this one, and the uprising of Hong Kong here. Better look at that here. Ooh, there is a block touch.
Wow, what a call. That's a big one.
You know, in real time, coach did not see that.
I
but
thought
then,
that there was none.
Same. Again, that's why we have the challenge system, because we are wrong. As we take a look at that again, a successful challenge.
Clearly wrong.
Clearly wrong. And that's the second time Coach Lilipali proved us wrong. But Pang Wing Lam answers with a crucial point here for Hong Kong.
Right, but that was a big point extracted earlier by the challenge. Coming from Indonesia, we're still ahead by 4. Needing a side out to get to point number 23.
4-point lead here. Can Indonesia close out? Junaida Santi with a big hit, and that's just gonna be a step too far. The ad board in the way. Hong Kong will complain.
Probably 2 out of 12 here in this set alone, but still at 19 points to be the top scorer for Indonesia. That's 19 of the 73 points of Indonesia so far.
The slide dealt well with here. That time much better, and that'll be too far as well for Putri Agustin to get to. 23-19 the count.
That's a quick set just to beat the blocker. Another side out here for Indonesia for a possible match point.
Very little room for error here. Junaida Santi again. Her number has been had in this frame as Pang scores again to push within 3.
Good fight back here coming from the red shirts. Pang has been the chief architect of this third set fight back coming from Hong Kong. Staying away from the blockers, going for cross-court deliveries.
Junaida Santi managing to score, and all of a sudden they're at match point.
I like the decision coming from Rara to keep going to Junaida Santi. Yes, her percentages has gone down here in set 3, but she is still the best player here for Indonesia and the best scoring option. 4 set points equivalent to 4 match points.
Looking for the finishing kick. They go to Junaida Santi, who scores off the block. And Pedro Lilipali is up and dancing because Indonesia, after being swept in their first matchup against Hong Kong, have turned the script on its head, sweeping Hong Kong the other way around.
Writing a different narrative, motivating his players to try and outplay a team which swept them in their first encounter, and they will be rewarded with a higher finish than the 2022 title holders, the team from Hong Kong. Oh yes, a jiggy coming from Coach.
And Coach showing us moves that we both wish we had.
Oh. Nada, 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 nada.
Indonesia, congratulations on your win here against Hong Kong. They will finish 7th place here in the 2024 AVC Challenge Cup for women here in the Philippines. When we return, a few highlights and, of course, a flash interview as well. Don't go away. Welcome back as we take a look at the match that just was. 25-20, the final count in set number 3 in favor of Indonesia as they complete the sweep over Hong Kong. Coach, what was impressive for you here for Indonesia in set number 3?
Number 1, make that for all sets. 10 errors for a 90-minute match. And that's simply impressive, especially for a very young team, one of the youngest that we have here in the Challenge Cup. Offensively, they were a plus 10 in terms of attack points. Composure had a lot to do about this straight sets win coming from Indonesia because Hong Kong kept fighting back.
They kept fighting back. They had the experience to do so. And again, you take a look at the error count, which we'll show you the numbers for in just a bit. Really in favor of Indonesia here, absorbing or rather benefiting from 20 opponent errors from Hong Kong. But coach, even the blocking, the 2 blocks coming in the 3rd frame after only managing 1 in sets number 1 and 2.
And definitely the net defense of Indonesia was much better than Hong Kong, utilizing whatever height advantage that they had against the 2022 title holders. And Indonesia runners-up in 2023 behind Vietnam, finishing in the 7th spot, but still going home, coming off a win. And that's all that counts. Seasoning, experience, and of course a lot of good takeaways in their campaign here in the 2024 edition of the Challenge Cup.
And of course, this is going to be the final edition of the Challenge Cup, as you mentioned, Coach.
Correct.
And the way for Indonesia to avoid the doldrums of this one, and of course, a chance for them to keep on improving. Now, for more on Indonesia, we turn over to Bailey Zakot. Bailey, what do you got?
Thank you so much, Paolo and Coach Ronnie. With me, the team captain of Indonesia, Sabrina Agustina. First off, congratulations on the win and finishing the tournament on a high note. Not only did you play composed out there and confident, but you also had fun. Your thoughts on this?
Oke, apa yang kamu rasakan selama ini, selama pertandingan ini? Rasanya seperti apa?
Yang saya rasakan sangat bangga dan sangat senang bisa berkompetisi di internasional. Dan juga ini kompetisi saya yang pertama di internasional, jadi ini pengalaman yang sangat berharga buat saya.
Okay, she said that it is the first time for the international competition, so they are very happy. So especially for this day, they have match, win the match for today, and for the second match, we win, so they have very happy.
And not only did you win this match, but also you're the youngest team in the league against much more experienced players. How does it feel? Describe your whole AVC experience.
Okay, gimana rasanya lawan pemain-pemain senior?
Tentunya kita dapat pengalaman yang banyak ya di sini ya. Soalnya dari segi tekniknya saja sudah di atas kita, pengalamannya juga. Tapi itu tidak mengungkiri kita buat melawan senior. Jadi kita sebagai pemain masih muda-muda, kita tetap berusaha ngelawan senior dan bisa ngambil hikmahnya ngelawan senior.
Alright, thank you so much. Back to you, Paolo and Coach Ronnie.
Thank you so much, Bailey, for that flash interview with Bella Sabrina Agustina, and again, one of the standout players here. Not necessarily the top scorer.
Yes, yes.
But one of the key contributors as
Definitely the leader of the pack. And she scored critical points. She carried her team. We talk about leadership and composure, and that was really a big plus for Indonesia, especially in the last few matches. And they'll finish this campaign on a very strong note, coming up with a win, avenging a 3-set loss, coming up with a 3-set win against Hong Kong.
And that will do it for our coverage of the classification match between 7th and 8th place, with Indonesia taking 7th and Hong Kong finishing at the bottom. Up next, we have the classification matchup between India and Iran taking place at 1 p.m. That is the battle for the 5th and 6th spots of the 2024 AVC Challenge Cup for women. Thank you very much for joining us in our coverage here for the first matchup of this quadruple header at the historic Rizal Memorial Coliseum. I'm Paulo De Rosario, joined by Coach Ronnie Magsanok, and it was Bailey Sakot on the sidelines for us a while ago. Thank you very much, and we'll see you for the next games.